C, 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 C. Somebody stop me.
I
Semi-final.
was like, it's on repeat.
And it is Artabax versus Syed. And I'm joined by a Disney Lorcana Challenge champion. Vonderland, how's it going, my friend?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you doing?
I am very well. I'm sure we're going to talk more about rotation and all that sort of stuff later on. But for now, it is Syed. It is Artabax. Let's take a quick little look at the deck list here before the players start. We've got Artabax, who is on Emerald and Amethyst. Were you surprised to see this as their pick?
Oh, it's shocking. I was surprised it wasn't Ruby Sapphire, honestly,
Yeah,
but obviously, his bread and butter, right? He knows what he's doing. He loves this, and we always love to see him play it. And it looks pretty traditional for what he tends to be on.
Yeah, Back to the Roots is the name. We did see him at the weekend, the Ravensburger event about a week and a half ago, playing Ruby Amethyst. So maybe he's not fancying this deck quite as much anymore. This list was submitted a bit before that event. And on the other side, we've got a man that is turning into a bit of a, jack of all trades, shall we say, Syed on Ruby Sapphire. I believe he took down an event at the weekend playing a item version of Ruby Sapphire. This one with Bell as the most interesting addition, and also that Vitalosphere, which can combo with the Half Shark, and that put in a lot of work against me when he knocked me out of the tournament.
Yeah, Shark Vitalosphere is brutal. I mean, even Ruby Amethyst is playing Shark with Peter Pan to do the same thing. Shark was good before. You give it Rush. Oh, it's a beating.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we can probably look a bit more at the decks a little bit later on and let the players know that we are ready to go. We had a few tech issues, but hopefully it was resolved. Thank you to Card Market, who sponsored the stream. Thank you to Pavel for hosting. Thanks to the judge. And a big thank you to Wonderland as well for joining us. Wonderland, if people want to find more of your amazing Lorcana content, where can they do so?
Oh, they can just search up V Vonderland, or Wonderland if you want to combine the V's together.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on Twitch, Blue Sky, Twitter, everywhere basically. If there's a social media platform, I'm probably there under that.
Good stuff. I still need to make a Blue Sky account. Actually, that is something I'm slacking on.
Yeah, it's hard. You're like, oh, I have this great idea. You make a tweet, and you're like, oh, now I have to put it on 3 more platforms. I'm sure there's an app to help you with that, so it puts it on all of them at once. But
awesome.
It does look like we're about to start here.
Yeah, are you okay to give the heads up to the judge and players that we're ready, if you don't mind?
I already did.
Yeah, I thought you might have. Good man. I'm a bit restricted with my Discord use. I've tried to learn from JDZ as well. And I've got myself a little blazer on. It was a last minute scramble, so I'm still wearing a t-shirt and a blazer. You're looking pretty smart over there too, my friend.
Yeah, JDZ's up to the game everywhere, right?
It's true.
It's just everyone doing it. I bought a few blazers, but only 1 or 2, and they're a lot more expensive than vests. So I was like, all right, I'm going to buy a bunch of vests. I have different outfits for different color combos. As soon as I joined, it's like, oh, we're both kind of amber steel right now. It's like, that's the look we're going for. So, and neither player's on that.
No, JD, I think he must rent those suits. I think he gets them for the day, leaves the price tag on them, and takes them back. There's no way a man can have that much swagger in one wardrobe.
I've asked him about it, and he said it's from like going to different weddings and stuff like that. He just has them from over the years of going to different celebrations. And it's like, oh, perfect time to be able to reuse those.
Yeah, I got a lot of time for that. So, what do you think about the matchup? Obviously, there's going to be a die roll here. And the winner will be facing Moyen in the grand final, who's also on Emerald Amethyst. Who do you think is the favourite on paper here? Obviously, Syed, like Ruby Sapphire, but that Bell, I think, in particular, could give him a bit of an edge. But what do you think is the favoured? Who do you think is the favoured player here?
I think it kind of depends on when the Ursulas come down. If we're able to like play an Elsa and then answer a shark somehow in the same turn, just not let it challenge away, right? Or get to the point where we can Ursula know they don't have a B prep and then build a big enough board to gain 10 12 lore in one swing. Without Sisu to do it, we do have those Ursulas to kind of get around it. But Pirate's Life is if Zan gets a chokehold on the game, it's like over, right? So it really just depends on if Artabax can beat down fast enough and really lock in that victory and prevent the Maui Shark from going the distance. But if that Shark gets a hit or two in, it's probably over.
Yeah, there is a couple of Brunos as well for Artabax that can maybe bounce, and the Mother Knows Best as well, maybe like a Mother Knows Best combining with a Sudden Chill or something like this. There is a little bit of discard in Artabax's list with those 4 copies of Sudden Chill. So Zan's going to have to be a little bit cautious of that. Something like an Ursula Deceiver of All singing Sudden Chill. But usually those Merfolks you would think are going to be really, really good against Zan's list, as we are going to see the players cutting decks. But that Bell from Zan could just make Artabax's Merfolk a little bit less menacing if he can find that early on.
Yeah, it's it's a really frustrating thing, but really what Artabax is trying to do is like, all right, if you're going to answer my threats, you're losing cards from your hand.
Zan
and
rolled a
then
2?
maybe double stinging Seas gets it done.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
Well,
I think Zan rolled a 2, Artabax rolled a 6 there, so I think that was the die roll to decide who goes first.
you're showing the deck list right now, I do believe.
Yeah, you're right. There was a little die roll there, and I think Artabax won the die roll. It was a 2 from Zan, a 6 from Artabax. And what do you think about the playmats here? What's going on there? This is not a coincidence. They've had to have a chat about this.
Well, so I have that same playmat that Zan has.
Oh, really?
Joshua Paltry makes these.
Okay.
And at North American Champs, he gave one to all the other DLC winners.
Damn.
So it's really cool. But it is really neat that it like lines up with Artabax's bear one. It's just like, is this an Artabax tribute playmat or what's going on here?
Okay, the early
Merfolk.
Yeah, Merfolk's what caught my eye on the other side. There is that sale for Zan Syed. That's going to be 2 of the key cards. Artabax looking at keeping the Ursula the Deceiver and potentially taking an aggressive mulligan there.
Yeah, he's just looking for curve. He has like the 2 important things, so he can kind of pitch everything else. He has a fairly low unink count, so he doesn't really have to worry about that too much. Zan's keeping a all right turn 1 or turn 2 play just in case as the you develop your brain, and then obviously the most important thing he needs, the turn 2 ramp, and then something to do with that extra ink on the next turn. And then I like hitting T-pos here. It's good to be able to ink that and not draw it in the late game when you want like impactful cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's you'd rather have the T-po in the inkwell, wouldn't you, rather than on the top of your deck?
Yeah. What do you think about Artabax's hand here? It looks like he kind of drew quite the curve.
He only plays 8 1-drops, but he's found 3 of them for that opening I very much often like as a Amethyst player, which is that double 1-drop on turn 2. Now, judging by the judge interaction, it will actually be Zan Syed going first. So I think the die roll that I saw was to do with cutting the decks. And I believe Zan also took that mulligan first, which would signify they're going first. But very aggressive mulligan from Artabax. He kept that Ursula 2, but yeah, he's found another, and he's found that double Merfolk and Diablo.
What are you inking here? Like, I want every card that's inkable. I want to play in this game. It's like I wish these pans were anything else. Drawing 2 of them as well, not ideal. He could run out of steam fairly quickly if Zan has Bell and things like that, and we know he doesn't. Yep.
I think it's got to be one of those Ursula 2s, and if Artabax is going second, they will have another opportunity to draw 1 more card. But those Peter Pans really attack for Diablo, and I think that's one thing Ruby Sapphire has got in its favor in the current metagame, as we see the McDuck mana into the ink, and there is a Develop Your Brain available, which you would imagine Zan's going to take. But yeah, those Peter Pans really good against Diablo, not so good against Ruby Sapphire.
This is not the match for them, for sure.
And they're uninkable, right? So they just sit there, and they're particularly bad in this matchup for that reason.
They're an okay card when you have 1,000 cards in your hand, 1,000 ink, and you kind of want to deal with an exerted shark, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But Zan doesn't have a fantastic start here, and so even on the draw, a Merfolk here is a pretty solid ink. I think Artabax is going to ink Ursula 3, but I could be wrong. He might just get rid of a redundant Ursula 2, but with no songs. It's a little weaker here. but the merfolk might force Zan into playing Tipo instead of Sail, and that's going to really put a drain on the amount of cards in Zan's hand.
Yeah, and obviously the merfolk is questing for 2, but I've lost my game here. I've lost the Discord stream. Let me rejoin here. All right, I'm back in.
There we go.
Did you also lose it or just me? We're fine either way.
I think it was just a blip for a second there. I'm
Cool.
watching through yours. So.
All right. Well, the merfolk also going to quest for 2, but it has that hand pressure, and you're absolutely spot on. It is going to be the Tipo, and it looks like a Pirate's Life will be the other card into the Inkwell. Holding on to that Sail the Azurite Sea, so we could see some extra ramp as we then see Artabax drawing into a Goat, so another inkable option instead of an Ursula, but at the moment it seems like it might be Ursula over the Goat, trying to hold that Goat into the late game to finish the job.
Yeah, it's unlikely we're going to get both of the... so aggressively good. It's unlikely we're going to hit with both songs at this point. Like, and he already inked one away. Although hitting on How Far I'll Go would be pretty good, but at this point I don't know if he really needs it. I think he could wait another turn and go after the B prep the turn before it happens. It is probably his best bet.
I mean, the cards on Artabax's board, you couldn't really ask for a better start. His hand's a little bit awkward, but Zan's definitely going to be feeling the pressure here. Of course, Tipo can deal with the merfolks, but it is going to require them to discard a card. And, yeah, Artabax Bell could have also come down earlier as well. So, seems to be in a good position, but it does already. His hand's not got any sign of card draw. It's going to be Sail into the Inkwell for Zan. And for 4, it looks like it will be Grandma Tala here. Sure enough, it will be. Of course, 2 cards. 1 into hand, 1 onto the bottom of the deck. We can't quite see, but it's going to be Tala, which is kept. And obviously, you can start recycling them.
And just another character to beat things down, banish the opposing things in challenge, and then also replace itself. And see, we saw Zan ink the Sail. It seems perfectly right to keep the develop over it. It costs 1 less. We don't have near enough cards to be wanting to double ink.
Yep, and we did see Tipo challenging the merfolk, the first merfolk into the discard, but also the Pirate's Life, the option chosen to discard. Worth noting, they chose to discard the Pirate's Life instead of inking it. This is going to give them access to the Pirate's Life with Maui Half-Shark in the late game, which can be a real game changer, as you mentioned earlier.
I'm kind of liking playing the Peter Pan to answer the Tipo and then questing out.
Yep, and that's exactly what Artabax goes for. What is it you're liking about this play so much?
So it gains you 1 more lore, basically, because now we can't challenge both of our characters down. We get more of it. The amount of ink that Zan has is so small that we don't even really need to worry about the Be Prepared coming up.
Mm-hmm.
The most worrisome thing is if it's literally just about to say if he plays How Far I'll Go. But even singing it is not that bad because, as we know, Zan doesn't actually have the Be Prepared yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he could ink, sing it, play Maui, use Maui to take down the Diablo or the Merfolk, but I think he's gonna go for the double beatdown probably. I don't know if I would keep the Grammatala or the How Far I'll Go at this point. It's like you really need that extra ink to play the cards off the top of your deck. But the body's also pretty good. But if all Artabax does is play evasives now, which I guess he is aware there's not that many. I don't think there's any genies in here, just a few Elses.
Oh, it is actually going to be How Far I'll Go, signed by Tala. So Zan, a little bit of a greedy line, valuing that ramp. He's got not much of a decision. This Vision of the Future as both cards, so 1 into hand, 1 into ink. But Zan valuing that ramp over dealing with Diablo this turn. You would imagine Maui's going to come in and clean up the Merfolk. But Zan also the option of going for a Tala and just continuing to have a slower start. I mean, I think that's a sign of confidence for Zan in this matchup, that he feels comfortable enough to take that How Far I'll Go. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Artabax is not at that high of a lore, only at 5. Using his 3rd turn to basically play a better brawl. Still gets to gain some lore from that, but only really probably going to gain 2 lore next turn, and that's not very much.
Definitely, it will be Maui, Diablo, and Merfolk the options. Vision of the Future and Tala, one will have to be discarded if he goes for the Cursed Merfolk.
He could be greedy here, honestly. He could just take out the Diablo. It's not that bad of a choice. It kind of plays around a possible crab if that was something to even consider. Although realistically, the Maui itself kind of shuts down a lot of what Artabax is trying to do here. He needs to draw some better cards than what he has drawn in the last couple draw steps, I think.
Yeah, and Zan's hand is getting whittled down a bit though, so he does have to be also a little bit cautious of something like Sudden Chill coming through and completely discarding his hand. A lot of the time when you're playing a discard deck against Ruby Sapphire, you want to try and empty their hand as lower ink as possible so you can get them into the top deck mode, and each turn they've got a decision: do I play a card or do I ink a card? That hasn't quite happened yet for Artabax despite that double Merfolk, but that could change very quickly. It's going to be Maui. Of course, it is reckless. It's forced to challenge. Merfolk is the decision. And it's Vision discarded.
Wondering which one of those he would take. It makes sense to want to keep the 3/3 body just in case some shenanigans happen.
Mm-hmm. And this is where like that Sudden Chill from Artabax could have such a big impact, removing that Tala. But it's not an option, but the Diablo plus Crab could now draw him into a Sudden Chill. It draws him into an Ursula 3. And it will be inked. And it will be a quest from Peter Pan. So that is an evasive card, not able to be challenged. But this Grandma Tala in Zan Syed's hand is safe and sound. There was no Sudden Chill when Artabax needed it there.
Yeah, this is
Ooh!
runner for Zan there, and not in a fantastic spot for Artabax here. And this is what the control players want. It's why they play the deck. They play some very high impact cards that if you get to play them and they don't get banished and you ready up with it, it's probably gonna bring you right back into the game. He could challenge the Peter Pan, get back Pirate's Life, and then hard cast it if he needs to, if he was in a rough spot, or just get Visions and dig. It's absurd how good this card can be.
Yeah, there's 2 Mauis on the board for Zan, although you can barely see them. There is the Maui Hero to All and the Maui Half Shark, and that is going to be back on over to Artabax, who draws into the Madam Mim Fox. No sign of We Don't Talk About Bruno. And of course, now every time that Artabax exerts a character, they are inviting that Half Shark to challenge and bring back a develop, bring back a Pirate's Life.
I do like that Zan has gone from a super high camera to maybe just a little too close. But it's still good. Like I do like this. Getting the lighting and everything done for these webcam games is so much more difficult than anyone could like ever expect it to be.
Yes.
It shouldn't be this difficult to just turn a light on and play a game, because it looks great for my eyes, but the camera just sees glare and it's like,
Glare is the great enemy. My latest thing is a black umbrella over the camera at events. That can do it. That can do a trick. It's going to be a pass from Artabax though. Played the go, passes, not exerting anything. What do you think about this one from Artabax?
It's what he has to do. And at this point, it's like, sure, if you're going to play a B prep here, that's fine. You have no cards in hand. We don't have to worry about Flaversham getting us back 1,000 cards. We've seen 0 popsicles. And so Crab off the top is not that impactful at all. Like the most worrisome thing is another shark, or then like Visions into more things. Hey, look, another shark.
Yeah, speaking of which, those Talas have been doing the business. That consistency for Zan, being able to dig through his deck, put one card on top, one into hand, one on the bottom. But it's just a pass from Zan. They had the opportunity there to quest of that Half Shark, but they're a little bit intimidated at the potential of Peter Pan plus that Crab taking it out. That's really heads up.
Here's a rules question for you. If I have a Merfolk exerted and you have a Maui Shark, do you have to grab the card from your discard before you discard a card to mine because yours first, or do you get to choose to pull yours or mine out of the bag first since it's your turn?
I'm pretty sure the half shark goes through first.
And then you have to discard.
Yes.
That seems like a good thing for Artabax if that's the case. If he can get, no cards in Zan's hand, but I guess Zan's always going to draw a card for the turn, so it seems unlikely that's going to happen unless he needs the ink to play what he gets.
Bruno actually inked.
Nifty interaction there.
Yeah, Fox comes down on go, gains a law. Flynn Rider joins the party, and Artabax just leaving everything ready. This is not a position Artabax is going to be happy about being in, but they're trying to make do with what they've got.
This is how Blurple plays. They're just like, I'm going to quest, play Fox, play Fox, bounce my other character, replay it. And, he's at 9 lore. He does have to gain 11, which is a bit, but he has 5 in play. 6-ish if you count Goat. But he cannot let Pirate's Life get back from the discard, though.
Oh, another shark, just for good measure. The problem for Zan, though, is if he was to find a Be Prepared right now, it wouldn't really be able to come down. It would be worse for him than it would be for Artabax. So Artabax is just going to continue to take this line of trying to go very wide and just find enough questing power. Something like a Merfolk off the top here alongside his Goat could begin to apply quite a bit of pressure. It definitely seems like the game is in Zan's favour, but that Bell top deck for him wasn't the best on the previous turn.
Another Fox off the top seems not bad to have. Would have been a lot better if there was one less shark in play.
Yeah. Yeah, so Elsa...
And Grandma was exerted.
Elsa comes through. You can go Elsa to exert a shark, but Peter Pan and Elsa between them barely doing the job. In fact, not. It's a 2-3 on Peter Pan. Another go. It is the same one we've seen before. 1 ink still available, but of course nothing for Artabax to do with it. And you can see these evasive cards like Elsa and Peter Pan, they're really aimed at dealing with Diablo, but Diablo is nowhere to be seen. And Ruby Sapphire really taking advantage of that. That was very much the story of DKP's win in Leipzig. He beat down a lot of decks very heavily teched for Diablo. These decks were submitted at a similar sort of time in the meta, and this Ruby Sapphire deck just looking really strong against a deck quite heavily teched for Diablo right now.
That's a pretty good card for Zan to draw. The issue is he might not want to sing it, but he's going to. And I say might not because now Elsa gets to come down and basically take out a shark. Because we just throw away a crab into the Maui, and then we pump the Elsa and we trade with the shark, which slows down Zan. That's one plan we could do. We don't necessarily have to do it depending on what we draw because we're at 10 and we do have 6 lore in play. So there's a world that we just do some questing and bouncing, but I think we only have Fox as a bounce card in Artabax's list. I don't think there's snakes.
I think there might be a couple. Let me put it up very quick. There's 2 snakes.
Oh, there is 2. Okay, well, let's hope for Artabax that he draws snake.
Yeah, and Zan did use this How Far Ago of Maui, so gained a couple lore for the half sharks. It is going to be the Vitalosphere that was selected. We didn't see what went into the ink. Can't have been too much of an impressive card, I would imagine.
Yeah. If that's what he's taking, that other card does nothing. I would assume it's like a Tipo. I can't, even a Sail, I think I might take over that.
Yeah.
Just because it gains 2 lore and draws a card.
Bell's going to come in. They are going to be paying 3 ink for that, not banishing the Vitalosphere. I don't think it was another Vitalosphere either, because I feel like the decision might have been a bit quicker for Zan there. So Tipo is my pick for what it was likely as well. But Artabax at 10 lore. The board is questing. He's got 5 characters, that Flynn quest for 2, so he can quest up to 16. Of course, that Goat as well, threatening to get to 17. But that Pirate's Life in Zan's discard pile, very, very threatening. Tala is going to also quest for Zan, who is now up to 3 lore. What's the top deck you're hoping for here if you're Artabax? Is it those snakes?
Yes. Although at 5 ink, yeah, we can't really deploy the crab to do this. We kind of need to play the Elsa there, and we're gonna have to lose the crab. But since the grandma traded or quested, we can trade there, and that's not that bad, honestly. It slows Zan down, but at the same time, it might slow him down too much. It's hard to say here.
Yeah, the game is delicately poised, but I think for Artabax, it's going better than it appears. You know, you're looking at 2 half sharks. It looks pretty disastrous. But if they can start stringing together some goats and some bounces, they could turn the corner here. It looks as though Elsa is going to be either inked here or played. If it's inked, he can play both Peter Pan and the crab.
Which seems a little sus, but I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lore. And if he draws a bounce, that's Lorthal. He can't 2-tap. Not with that Pirate's Life in the discard.
Yep, so if Snake is right now the top card on Artabax's deck, and they only play 2, remember, that would be a potential line for victory. Because at this stage, it's like, okay, the Elsa, do you go try and continue to control the board, or do you just really go for it? And even though the Peter Pan and Crab aren't doing a lot, you can go a little bit wider and try and win a little bit quicker. It's a big decision here for Artabax. I think it's either you play the Elsa or you ink the Elsa. There are probably your main 2 lines here.
Yeah, it's kind of you go all in and hope to draw a bounce, or like the other thing he could do is ink it, play both, and then hope next turn to draw a 2-lore threat, play it, pass, and survive 1 more turn.
I think myself in this position, I'm likely to just ink the Elsa and try and go wide intuitively. But Artabax definitely knows a thing or 2 more than I do, especially when it comes to Amethyst Emerald, and I'm sure he's practiced this matchup a fair bit as well.
I'm sure. And with the Vitalosphere, a Bruno's not even necessarily a clean answer.
It's going to be the Elsa. He might have accidentally revealed the crab in hand there. If Zan was paying attention, I think he might have caught that. And it's going to be crab going into the Tala and the Elsa taking down the half shark. Okay, Artabax, this is what I'm saying when Artabax knows a thing or 2 more than I do. The crab sacrificed, gaining the challenger, giving it to Elsa, and taking out a half shark. That seems like a great play.
I don't think there was another Elsa earlier in this game. So at this point, another Elsa is kind of an answer to the shark, as well as a Bruno could be an answer to the shark. And 2 sharks out of the way, that's at 3 lore, we don't care about a manor. We just need the sharks gone, and all of a sudden there's not really a good victory condition outside of like some 3/3s and a crab trying to quest.
And are you ever, if you're Zan, are you ever regretting this quest with the Tala here? But we're going to see a big quest from Artabax as well, and I didn't expect this. Artabax full of surprises, suddenly up to 15 lore, but presents the opportunity here for Zan Syed to recycle that A Pirate's Life, and that is going to steal lore away from Artabax.
So you could just wipe the board here. This is... I don't know if I like this move, but at the same time, I mean, he had the sign that, like, yeah, Artabax draws Brawl here. He's in a rough spot as well. Like, there's a lot of outs. I mean, if Zan did. So he kind of just went for it. And then this way, next turn, he's basically, all right, you get 1 Pirate's Life. Okay, you get to answer that. But I'm going to go Peter Pan Crab, and I'm going to take out that shark.
Yeah.
I'm going to rebuild.
But he's going to need ink off the top in order to pull that off.
No, that is true.
It's very, a very fascinating turn from Artabax. I did not expect him to quest there whatsoever, but really, really liking the way he maneuvered his way through that one. He thought about it for a long time. And what do you think about that? Like, when are you supposed to really slow down the game? Obviously, you won a Lorcana challenge. I see a lot of people rushing at times with their mulligan. Like, how do you identify those moments where you just pause and make sure you use time to your advantage?
Oh, it's really hard to know, honestly. It just kind of you just have to get used to it, I guess. It's such a hard question to answer.
Hmm.
Um, it's when you just look at it and you're like, well, I can't go fast. It's like, well, if I quest, like, what are the downsides to questing?
Hmm.
And I think when you play more and more and more, eventually you just naturally see that right away, and so you don't even think about it.
Hmm.
And so then you see these turns where Artabax is like tanking and Zan is tanking. Then it's like, yeah, those are the turns that other players are taking even longer. It's like, sure, it seems like there's only one play, but or like two choices maybe, and they're pretty close. But they're going through like, what could he draw if he does this? What is his next two draws? Like, what are the outs that are going to get me? What happens with this? Which one does he return? What do I think is the last card in his hand based on what he's played?
Yeah.
And then like, if you kind of like say 2 or 3 turns ago, somehow Artabax was like, I know that other card is a Maui.
Hmm.
Like he did something somehow to signify that, which I don't think he did. But if he did, and Artabax has that read, then that could adjust the way he plays later as well. And like that could be punished by an insane top deck by Zan, or just it could play around things. He could just be like, I know it's not a B prep in his hand. Or maybe he thinks he has the soul read and is like, I think that is a be prepared,
Hmm.
and so I should quest.
And there is always that when you're playing against Ruby Sapphire, you always feel like they've got the B prep. Even if they don't, there's that like nagging thing in the back of your mind. It could be there.
They always have it.
And we saw that Artabax has already inked 2 of those Ursa the Deceivers as well. Only 2 left, so that could also be playing on his mind. But it's also a decision at some point you've got to make plays that win the game, right? I think that's a key skill in card games. You make some plays which might look a bit weird, but Artabax has clearly found a line here where he says, okay, if Zan has these 2 cards in hand, it presents me an opportunity to win.
Yeah, and it basically comes to a spot where you're like, well, I need to not lose,
Mm-hmm.
but I do need to eventually turn tail and go for the throat. Eventually,
Metaphorically speaking, I hope.
Aggressive. Yes. Well, sometimes you're just losing so bad, and the only way to win. But yeah, like it's a tough dance to do sometimes,
Maui,
because there's such high impact cards like Maui Shark.
Maui hero to all into the goat, so it's another lore gained for Artabax, just 4 away now. But that Maui with 4 damage counters is not going to be easy for Artabax to deal with. Nothing like a Bell in his deck. Still has Bell and the Maui half shark available, does Zan Syed. 3 characters though to challenge. But with that Maui in hand and the brawl, surely Zan will be clearing the board here. Of course, that Peter Pan is evasive, so you would imagine it's going to be the half shark taking out Peter Pan.
Yeah, I'd assume that would be the target there. It does seem like he's not going to play Brawl, or if he does, like, I just assumed he would have already done it. But here we go. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't Brawl, Ink Maui, Challenge, return something. Or maybe, yeah, I mean, we don't have enough to do both.
Yeah, 7 ink available. Hasn't spent any of it just yet. Does also have that Vitalosphere available, but that's not really going to do anything at this moment in time.
So he could Brawl, Ink, Challenge, return Visions after the Bell takes out, and then that takes down the pesky Peter Pan, and then play Visions with 3 open and try to play something, or Ink. Well, I guess can't Ink, just try to have it survive in his turn. He definitely has to be thinking about discard in his opponent's hand as well.
Mm-hmm. And it could come down to that interaction you were talking about earlier with Maui and the Flynn. My understanding of that one is that with the Maui, it's your trigger. So you put the Maui and the Flynn go into the bag, but the Maui, because it's your card, that needs to resolve first. So you would trigger the Maui, put, let's say, Vision back into hand, and if you were to have challenged Flynn, then you would discard after that fact. It is going to be the Brawl, and it's surely going to be on the Flynn Rider, so you don't have to discard anything from hand, and that is exactly what happens. But now just 4 ink remaining as we see Bell and Fox trade. The half shark now will finish off Peter Pan, but with 4 ink, it might not be a Pirate's Life that Zan goes for. It's an interesting decision. Well, it will be. And I think that's wise. Yeah. But this Peter Pan and Crab can take down the half shark. The Peter Pan can almost do it on its own. It's a fox that's found, and that is an inkable card, which enables this Peter Pan plus Crab combo. 6 ink.
It's just frustrating. It's what I wanted him to draw a turn sooner so he could do some bounce shenanigans.
Yep.
And had he drawn that a turn sooner, I think he would have been in an insanely good spot.
Mm-hmm. So we do see Peter Pan rushing in, but of course with a rush card you don't need to do it immediately, so he has time to put that crab down and give it challenger, and that will finish the job on the half shark. The card off the top, it's a Tamatoa, but there's no items, I don't think, for Zan.
Zero items, I'm pretty sure. Vitalosphere in play.
Very, very
DKB
interesting.
special.
And
Very few items.
Artabax is just 4 lore away, and Zan does not have a card which quests on the board. Of course, that Pirate's Life is a card that Artabax knows is in hand for Zan. So he knows that he's really 6 away at this stage.
Yeah, I think he just has to play the crab and pass. It's kind of brutal, but it sings by itself, and that could be good the next turn. I mean, he could also play the Maui, hope to draw a popsicle next turn, but he does have to win this game as well. So the 2 lore here seems much more important to try to get that online.
And it's going to be the Tamatoa that comes down, and its stat line is not irrelevant either. 4-5 stat line. It's going to be Kit Cloud Kicker. And I had a nickname for Kit back in the day before I did official casting, and it's kind of fitting now. I'm not going to repeat it. It wasn't too kind about poor old Kit, but that's how he's feeling right now at this stage in the game.
Yeah, Kit is the type of card that is very good on curve and tempo and very bad in the late game when it has no good use here. There's what do you bounce a Tipo, I guess.
Yep, no quest from the crab either. What do you think as we see the Develop Your Brain now come through for Xana? This is where this deck starts to show its consistency levels. Porpsicle or another half shark are the options. And I think I know which one is going to be the choice for Zan. 1 ink spent on that Develop Your Brain. That means 6 is remaining. And that means it could be the 3rd half shark down on the board for Zan Syed.
I don't know if I would play the shark or not, honestly. I guess discard's a card, but it's kind of rough. In a world, I think I might have quested for 2 and just hardcast the Pirate's Life. And then just be like, oh, it's a B prep, and then he quests or he sings or something, and then I get a shark.
Speaking of friends, it has been found by Artabax, and it's not going to be sung. It's going to be hard cast. Fox and Ursula Deceiver of all found. At least with the Fox, you can start questing without exerting characters. Of course, Fox Crab could combine to take down that Tamatoa. It's going to be the Ursula for now, and I would imagine a swift pass.
Ursula 3 is quite good. I guess I could see that Zan understands that Artabax might not quest, even without playing the shark in play. And so in that regard, you just play the shark to try to win the game as soon as you can. Bell is not a good draw here.
No, it's the second time we've seen that. I have to say the Bell performed very well against me when he very swiftly 2-0'd me without mercy. When he found it on curve to banish that Popsicle. But at this stage in the game, definitely not what you want to be seeing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you play cards that interact with aggressive strategies, is when you're not in that early game where they shine, it doesn't do too much. I mean, sure, Artabax is playing an aggressive deck, but not one that a 3/3 on turn 8 cares much about.
Yep, and it is going to be the Tamatoa and the Crab questing, and Bell comes in for 3 ink. Of course, Maui unable to quest. So that is going to be surely all that happens. What will Artabax draw off the top? It's going to be another Peter Pan. Peter Pan and Fox can come down.
That does answer some things, actually. I don't know if we care about the... So I think we quest with Crab.
Yep.
Play Peter Pan.
I agree.
Back, plus and trade.
Oh yeah. Sounds tasty.
Out of here. only one shark left and a 3 lore, while we have a crab that can come down and allow our fox to then trade with their crab. It seems like a fair enough card to draw right here.
We talked about the Peter Pan maybe not being that good in this matchup, but when combined with a crab, it's somehow just allowing Artabax to hold on and stay in this game. You would think the longer this one goes on, the more in favor of Zan it's going to go, but you can really see how the lack of Flaversham is maybe just impacting the way that Zan can accelerate into this game. Just not really. He's only still at 7 ink. We're used to seeing Sapphire have a ton of ink at this stage in the game historically, but that is not the case. Really relying on those half sharks. Didn't find the Porpsicles for the Tamatoa to start drawing more cards. And Artabax, despite what has looked like a really uphill battle, is still very much in this game.
Yeah, those merfolks, double merfolk, gain him a decent early lore and like really put the pressure on Zan's hand, forcing him to play Tipo, which then took a card away from itself, then took a card away from the challenge twice. And you could argue that the 1/2 did as well because it got brawled instead of challenged. So like that's 3 cards discarded without having to play any actual cards that are not a character.
And I think we know what's coming. It's going to be the crab questing for 1. That puts Artabax up to 15. 5 lore away from victory. In comes Peter Pan, and Zan's not going to want to see this. It's the fox. Peter Pan is given the challenger, and down goes the half shark. This fox does have rush. Do you expect any more questing, any challenging here from Artabax, or is he just going to leave everything as it is? And why?
So his Ursula 3 wants to do things. His kit only quests once. It's not a bad card for Zan.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Pirate's Life, like there's better, but this gives him a 2-turn clock, kind of.
Zan up to 13 with that Mukduk Manor down on the board. Does he use that last 2 ink to move characters into the Mukduk Manor? That's the question we're all asking.
Yes, he does.
Oof, thank goodness for that.
Like he's the last 3 ink to move all 3 of them to it. All right, it's a party at Scrooge's house.
Nice. Here we go. It's a Diablo off the top for Artabax. It's not the best, but it is cheap enough that he can play both.
So if he just plays those 2 characters and passes, he has Lorthal. If Zan draws nothing.
Some might say he even has story on board.
Some might, but they would be wrong. Ed loves that one too. Ed does like that too.
Let's go.
It's interesting because like I could see also wanting to quest just right now, but like a card like a Brawl or something that knocks you out is going to get you the other way. So if, say, a Brawl comes down on the Ursula, then I might want to then have my Fox still to be able to challenge something. And now he has to think. He's like, well, do I play this crab, answer the opposing crab, and then pass to just shut the clock down?
Yep.
Make him have to wait 3 turns to win off this lore, and then hope to draw another character and win off of that? And I think that's what he's pondering right now.
Yeah, it's a big decision for Artabax. Of course, he doesn't have the privilege of knowing what is in Zan's hand. We can see that depending on what Zan draws off the top, he might be good to go here, but he could decide, instead of gaining that 1 lore with something like the kit, he could trade it, thanks to the crab, the fox, and
taking down the location.
Okay, goes into the Mukduk Manor instead. So losing out on a couple of lore there, but denies the lore as well. Now you would imagine here, if you're exerting both the fox and the kit, does the Ursula also quest, or is she going to stay ready?
The reason not to here is like you don't care if the Maui trades or not.
Yeah.
And he has enough characters to do it. If we had a 4th quester, then yes, I would have done it, because then you could get 2 quests out of 1 character if they don't have the Maui, which we know he does, but like there'd be a world he doesn't.
Yeah, so that decision comes down to like the fact that Artabax would not be overloading the removal of Zan right. Even if he quests with the Ursula, Zan had enough to take all 3 out anyway. It's Vision of the Future. Tipo, Porpsicle, B-Prep, How Far I'll Go. And one more card.
Not good yet.
Oh,
I don't know. Oof.
Another. One's going to the bottom at least.
Like, does he have to just take B-Prep here, challenge away, and hope it's enough? It seems rough. It's like maybe the How Far I'll Go.
And then Artabax draws Ursula 2 off the top. But 2 are already in the ink as well, and Zan's going to be very well aware of that. That decreases the odds of Artabax top decking one.
Pretty insane. He could also humorously take Tipo.
He could.
He could. And he could take How Far I'll Go, but I kind of like playing Maui, using the 2 Mauis to wipe things and then questing for 3 up to 16. It's not fantastic, but it gives you some bit of clock. The problem is questing out and a 2 lore threat off the top beats you if you don't top deck an answer.
It has turned into a bit of a nail biter here. Artabax on the draw, looking to seal the deal, but Syed is still resolving this Vision of the Future. And it is not an easy decision for him. That How Far I'll Go could be sung by the Maui, of course. Gives you that extra ink. If we take a very quick peek at Zan's list again, there's no Sisus in his deck, remember. No Sisus.
I think he's inked a Pirate's Life and played 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been the same one. All right, we're going the conservative. Like, this was an interesting turn here because it's like, well, if you B-Prep, you might not be able to stop Artabax from winning the game post B-Prep. Because you can't win the game. I guess you can play... maybe he's just taking the Be Prepared as a just-in-case button. It's like, oh, I draw something bad. I can't win. So whatever. This like puts Artabax only being able to go up to 18. We get to go to 16 now, and the next turn supposedly 19. So we could go to 19 and then play B Prep and then just hope to draw something that we can turn sideways before Artabax draws something to turn sideways.
And it's going to be that double Maui as you predicted, taking out the 2 exerted characters, leaving Tamatoa and Bell free to quest.
Sudden chill.
Oh! Ooh! But that is an Ursula Deceiver of all Mother Knows Best. You can double sing that. Bounce back Tamatoa and Bell if you so desire, but then that Vitalisphere could come in handy.
And with Be Prepared, that's like brutal.
So if Artabax took the line not to challenge a couple of turns ago, or the previous turn, would they have been able to have been stopped?
Check this out, Specie.
Please.
You quest with Crab.
Okay.
Your Mother Knows Best Crab.
Oh no.
You replay Crab. Both of them on Diablo, and then you trade with their Crab, and you draw a card.
Oh
and you
my
pass
goodness.
At 16 and 2 characters and play in a card in hand. And you take away the major threat on the other side. Because, like, what do you think Zan grabs here, right? Like, it's got to be a B Prep. He hasn't played one yet. He hasn't seen any. You have to think he took a B Prep or Sisu, but we know Sisu's not in his deck.
Oh my goodness. I would not have found that. But that's why you won a DLC in Seattle and I finished, I don't know, like 500th or something, possibly lower.
Well, I got lucky against Red Blue when I needed to. That's how I did well. I got lucky in the bad matchups. Sometimes you have to take these weird off the wall plays. Oh, are we doing it? Or are we like, I hope that's what he does. The other play that I think some people might do is just they challenge it and then they pump the Diablo and challenge and then hope to draw something and use your ink on that. But nope, it looks like he's going for the questing game.
And it could still be the play that you mentioned, just with the double sing of Ursula. It's going to be Mother Knows Best being sung by Ursula Deceiver of All. Will be bouncing back the Crab. It will be buffing up Diablo. And the other Mother Knows Best is going to bounce back Bell. And in comes the Crab again. Suddenly, it's a 6 strength Diablo taking down Tamatoa. Card off the top. It's another crab. And there's enough ink to play it. But do you play it into a potential B prep?
Sadly, I think you have to, and hope they don't have it here.
And I also want to go back to that turn where Artabax could have quested, right? I don't think Zan would have been able to stop it because they drew the vision. They had the Maui. Of course, if you go vision to look for B prep, you've spent 2 of your ink.
He would have had to have grabbed the How Far I'll Go and sang it.
Right.
And then tried to get a removal there.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
But that is, and that's the thing is like people will be watching and they're like, why didn't they just go for it? They had it if they just did that. It's like, well, first of all, we get to see both players' hands.
Yes.
And secondly, like, sure, you're going to win some of those games. And hey, look, he would have hit the brawl on the How Far I'll Go to not win that race. And then he would have lost to the manor and the characters. He would have lost that game if he had gone for the overly aggressive thing. And that's the... And Artabax is like, oh, I could have a high chance of losing this game.
There's the sudden chill. It's going to discard the brawl, but Bell is down on the board, ready to quest. And Bell might be all that Zan needs to seal the deal. And, well, how about Tipo as well?
This is what finishes it, is like little lore questers.
Off the top for Artabax, maybe a rabbit would be good. It's Elsa.
Oh,
that can put in some work. Denies the lore of Tipo. Equalizes the board a bit, but Zan is in the lead. And off the top, finds How Far I'll Go. They're going to have 3 ink available after they play this. A Brawl could deal with Elsa. A Tipo again wouldn't be terrible. Has 8 ink now, but only 3 left for this turn.
He's like, you don't get to see it, chat. You don't get to know.
Keeps the suspense going. And it's Friends for Artabax.
Oh.
Do you sing it? He does not. Crab or Fox, it's another Friends. At what point do you sing it?
Here, because he needs a 2 lore threat. That's something to grab.
He finds the goat.
Oh, that was the wrong card. He realizes it, and now I assume they're gonna shuffle. Hold on.
No.
If he's gonna shuffle that, I think he left the Mother's Knows Best in his discard that he should have put on the bottom. That might need to be shuffled in as well, or make sure it's on the bottom.
It should be on the bottom.
Pirate's Life is what he kept in his hand.
Oh my goodness. Zan Syed takes it by the skin of their teeth. What a nail biter. It was all going unbelievably tight. The Tipo and Bell. And then there was the drama of the accidental card being revealed, and then Zan's like, don't worry about it, mate. I got the Pirate's Life in hand. Poof. Damn.
And I think that I was informed by the judge that they did put the card on the bottom already before that. I just didn't want them to shuffle it in on accident.
What a game.
So if he had not double sang, I think he might have still been able to get there, because then maybe it's hard to say, the Bell got 2 more lore. Otherwise, Bell would have gotten 1 more lore and then been be prepared. Because he has to play the be prepared there once the crap is gone. And then like the Ursula could have quested for 1 to just quest, and then we would have been at an extra higher, we would have been at 1 higher lore there, and then the Pirate's Life wouldn't have been enough to just win the game. I mean, we don't necessarily win there. All that does is maybe buy us another turn or 2, depending on what Zan then draws to get there. But since Artabax hit that like multi-friends turn, he might have been able to then like dump enough into play, especially since we saw the goat in hand there.
Yeah. Wow, what a tight game. And again, you know, Zan just able to survive that early game despite the merfolks. Artabax not with an abundance of discard in his deck, just those Ursula 2s, those sudden chills. Really, when you're playing Emerald against Ruby Sapphire, you're trying to utilize that discard to your advantage in the early game, and it'll be interesting to see Artabax going first, of course, this time. Artabax was going second in that last one. How differently it plays out. And Zan's going to be looking for that bell on turn 1 to contest those merfolks. Whew, what a game.
Yeah, super intense.
And Artabax drew very well, right? Like, they only play 8-1 drops, but they hit that triple 1 drop, double merfolk and Diablo.
Artabax had a fantastic open. And then I feel he had a couple awkward turns. He had to ink a few cards he didn't necessarily want to. Even though I didn't like having the double pans in his starting hand, he was able to try to use them and take advantage. Having to ink the Ursula 3 he draws because he has no songs to take advantage of them. I mean, that's kind of brutal because sometimes this matchup is literally, oh, I double sang friends, I win the game now. Because I'm going to hit the discard. He also didn't hit his sudden chill till it was almost worthless. Imagine if he had hit that a little later, like if the draws were different. So he drew his character first, Brawl gets played, and then he hits the Pirate's Life with the sudden chill. It's crazy to think of how just like a couple cards sequencing just a little different in the randomization of your deck is going to drastically impact it so much.
We're seeing Artabax keep Diablo, Ursula 2, and Flynn just looking for that 1-2 opening. On the other side, for Zan, has Sail, has Tipo, has Vitalosphere, and Develop for turn 1. A very interesting mulligan here. You would imagine the B prep's going to go, and it will. Looks also like Pirate's Life's going to go. I suppose the logic there that he doesn't want to ink that card, and it's a good top deck.
Yeah, he kept the Vitalosphere because he wants to play Bell on turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps him do it. Now I'm assuming Vitalosphere might get inked. But we have that crab there, so maybe not. But crab with just a single popsicle might be good enough.
Of course, the winner... Go on.
Go for it.
No, you.
I was just going to say, I'm assuming maybe he inks the Tipo or the Sail since he has the other one and tries to keep it, depending on what, and then ink what he draws off the top. But he's a little light on inkables that he wants to not ink.
Yeah, of course, the winner of this game will be facing Jan Moyen in the final. And if it is Zan versus Moyen, it could be a little bit of a grudge match. There's been some words back and forth between those two, and Zan is just one game away from booking their place in the final.
Yeah, if he can get some lucky Pirate's Life and maybe something to stop. The issue here is he doesn't have anything that he wants to play on turn 4. You don't want to How Far I'll Go on turn 4. You want to play the Tala and then sing it. But sometimes playing it into a shark is okay. But he's kind of put in the same spot where he might have to play Tipo to answer this, and that's going to really drastically lower the amount of cards he has in hand.
It was Crab inked by Artabax on the other side. It's going to be a Pirate's Life into the inkwell for Zan Syed, which is definitely not what I think either of us expected with that Vitalosphere available, but maybe wanting to line up that Vitalosphere half shark play as a threat, draws into a brawl off the Popsicle.
The Vitalosphere also makes the Tipo trade with something, and since we have the Crab, all of a sudden Crab is an 8-cost 6/5 rusher, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of good. And since Artabax is on the play, he gets to play the Ursula next turn and hit the How Far I'll Go, and that is going to feel so good.
Yep, so it's going to be that Flynn Rider on turn 2 for Artabax. Of course, it quests for 2, and when it's challenged, your opponent must discard a card very similar to Merfolk. Flynn Rider, the first chapter card, but still seeing a little bit of play. It's not something you see every day, that's for sure, but that quest for 2 could be all important. There's Sail or Tipo here for Zan. You would think it's going to have to be Tipo, wouldn't you?
It's kind of brutal to do that, but he might have to. It's kind of like looking in how he's going to play his next few turns, and it's kind of rough. It almost looked like he was going to ink that Popsicle for half a second. Looks like he might be inking Tipo and Sailing to try to get some cards and then go for a heavy ramp into a B prep or something. Sadly, he's gonna be heartbroken when that comes down. Oh no, he's thinking about TPOing away to play around Ursula. That
Mm.
seems that's a little heads up there to play around the turn 3 Ursula too.
Yeah, well, that how far ago it's uninkable, of course. You can't get rid of it. And if, now we're not playing one jump aheads. If ever you are going to Ursula, that turn 3 Ursula might make a little bit more sense. Will be interesting to see if you're right. It's going to be the Popsicle into the ink. It will be Tipo, and what is going to be selected? You're absolutely spot on. It is going to be that uninkable song, How Far I'll Go. And if Artabax
he really
is...
needs that Vitalosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And so my guess is next turn he's going to try to sail and play and activate Vitalosphere. And boom.
Wow, look at the plays on display from Zan Syed. Know how far I'll go here. It's hidden, it's in the inkwell, and it is not going to be a card discarded by Ursula. And that is huge.
Yeah, very heads up play by Zan there to understand that while the How Far I'll Go is really good, if he gets hit by the Ursula 2 and he leans on that How Far I'll Go, he just loses.
And the thing is, when you play Ursula 2, if it hits, you feel great. And if you miss, you feel absolutely terrible. Here against Ruby Sapphire, you want a quick start, and instead you're spending your whole turn playing basically an Olaf. A 1-3 that costs you twice as much, and you had 3 ink available. Like, that is not going to feel good if your name's Artabax, but that's a huge moment in this game for Zan, and a very well earned play as well. As good as Zan is, I will say, they're not very good at showing us their cards.
All that hype. All right, starting off with the sail.
We're trying to reconnect to the game here.
I'm going to predict we ink away. Maybe we ink away the shark, but that seems suspicious. I would assume he's going to try to keep that as long as he can.
Bear with us, yes. Sansayed's room has been overtaken by a white void, but we'll be sure to have the action again with you as soon as we can. Apologies for the technical difficulty. But it's looking like a very good position for Sansayed. We can, while we're waiting, take another quick look at the deck list. Sansayed here with those 4 copies of Bell in the deck. Those 2 Vitalospheres, 3 Pirates Life. On the other side, Artabax. Not a bunch of 1-drops. We've seen him play pretty much every card up to this point, as I do believe the stream is now back. I think we're still waiting for Zan's camera to reconnect here. But we'll keep you updated. The judge is talking with them.
I'm assuming that Artabax can see Zan's board and we
yes.
cannot.
But bear with us. It looks like Zan took their turn. They're now up to 5 ink. Which is bear with us. We'll work it out. So Zan, like, what was the play pattern from Zan? They put the Tipo down. They inked the How Far I'll Go, but we saw they're at 5 ink if their Pixelborn score was correct. So it might have been like hard casting How Far I'll Go in the previous turn. Maybe it was like playing Sail and double inking through that. Probably the more likely.
Yeah, so I think they're definitely playing the Sail there, drawing a card, going to ink something, play Vitalosphere, pop it on Tipo, take out the Flynn Rider or the other character, probably the Flynn Rider, because I guess we're probably not popping Vitalosphere if we're just taking out the Diablo. And then depending on what he draws, trying to develop more ink while keeping the shark. And if he draws no ink, then he's going to be stuck in a situation where he needs to ink the shark. But he's trying to get to 5 so he can then play the shark while Artabax is still at under 10 lore. And that should put him in a comfortable-ish spot. And then Artabax is going to have to try to overcommit to the board to 1-shot. And if Zan can top deck a Be Prepared before that happens, he should be able to win.
Yeah, that 3. Oh, as we might be back in, let's have a little look. Still have a problem with Zan's camera, but we'll be. Well, it's not necessarily Zan's camera; it's the connection to Zan's camera.
Yep.
But we'll try and get it worked out. Might just need the players to leave the lobby and rejoin. I have a feeling. So while we're waiting for this, and I have you, Mr. Wonderland, talk to me about today's news. All of the reveals about rotation. I think that might be a good place to start.
Have you played any games that have had a rotation?
Never. This will be a first for me.
All right. Well, I am very pro it. I think it is a very good thing for the game. It helps prevent power creep. Without rotation, they have to keep making cards that are as good or better if they want people to buy cards.
Yeah.
They can't just make a set of bad cards. No one will buy it. No one wants that.
Yeah.
But with rotation, they can try to make cards that are similar and a little weaker if they want to lower it even. And people will still buy the sets because that's what people are using and it's going to be fun. And then if most of the cards are weaker, they can still sneak 1 or 2 big powerful cards in that might not be super powerful in core. But if you go to infinity, all of a sudden, like, oh, this is super powerful because we have all these other synergies and interactions that we can get that we normally wouldn't otherwise. A lot of people are trying to rush sell their cards. They're like, oh no, rotation, my cards are going to nothing. I mean, I already look at the cards. So many are worth nothing anyways. Most of the cards that are older that are worth money are more due to like collectors and a few for playability. Obviously, Rapunzel's not a $50 card to collectors. But we've also saw a few reprints. So there's a high chance that maybe Rapunzel's going to get reprinted. But it's an interesting spot because Rapunzel is super good, super powerful, but it also puts a check on a lot of things in the format. It does kind of anti-promote challenging in a weird way, or questing. Like if you have to think about Rapunzel now, you have to stop doing things. Similar to Shark, it has a play pattern where it just stops your opponent from questing, which is a good thing in some ways. Being able to slow down the game without having to just like challenge or play removal. Just like the threat of that gives more ways to look at it. But I know that in Magic, when they announced old formats, sometimes cards would spike in value. So all of a sudden, old cards worth nothing are now worth something because of that format. And that's something they also don't want to happen with Core Constructed, right? They don't want to print a brand new card that then all of a sudden makes a set 1 card worth $100
right
3 years from now, and no one can find that card and it's only singles. And like, so from a business perspective, that's money that RB's not making. Like you're buying singles instead of buying boosters because you don't need, like, right? And while I wanted new rarities, I do like that announcement. I did not want them to be more rare than our current rarities. I wanted more rarities that were more common. I wanted a rarity in between like super rare and legendary that was like a non-foil alt art, like full art or something, similar to some of the awesome things that Pokemon has done. Did they have any weird alt art stuff in Gwent?
It's a very different style again because it's digital, right? It's not like driven by booster packs. You had in Gwent like the normal card, but then you would be able to basically turn every card premium, where it would be like a moving version of the card, and it's incredibly beautiful. Okay. In my opinion, the best art of any card game, and it was very fun. But you didn't have that same like pack opening experience, right? And it's digital card games. The concept of rotation in a digital card game sounds horrible. So I don't have like a big natural gravitation towards. I don't like the idea of rotation, but the more I've kind of settled with it as we're back in the game, I'm excited to see the meta shifted and updated, and I think it'll be a very different game, and that can be fun, right?
It looks like a brawl came down. So we got 5 ink, we sailed, we drew a card, we double inked, and we brawled away, and we somehow still have the 3 best cards from our previous hand.
And we are going to see that Ursula 2, Quest for 1.
Nope. We're going to see it eat up a small little child.
Yep, it goes into Tipo. The crab came down. That Ursula 2, really Olaf. I'm going to call this Ursula 2 Olaf for the rest of the game because it did... I mean, it looked at Zan's hand, to be fair. It's a bit better than Olaf, but...
It's like a slightly better Diablo.
Yeah.
So this is a not bad hand for Zan. His discard has some removal, some mid card draw. Oh, we're going for crab here.
Yeah, the Tamatoa is seemingly getting ready. The Develop Your Brain will be inked. I thought it was going to be played for a second, but no. Just straight into the ink roll, still wanting to hold on to that Vitalosphere, and it's a play that Zan was threatening a ton against me, is that Vitalosphere crab, Vitalosphere and shark combo. What did you say,
He's
sir?
2 ink away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely gonna be a pretty big, impactful card there. I love it when Discord does that. They're just like, "Oh, you're watching? Are you sure? Are you still watching?" It's like, well, yes, I'm still watching. Thank you.
Yeah, that crab with a 4/5 stat line leaves Artabax tapping the table in thought.
Yeah, you don't even really want to Bruno this. Bruno it so you can play the popsicle, crack it, replay it, get it back. No, thank you. 4 lore on the play. This is not looking good for Artabax. I would like to see how he's able to prove me wrong. I would like him to do that.
Crab and Ursuluk, quest for a total of 2, would only put Artabax up to 6 with the half shark on the horizon. You can definitely just see how this Ruby Sapphire deck is thriving in a deck teched for Diablo.
Question is, does he replay the Ursula too? I hate it, but I think he might have to.
He is going to pick it up, doesn't necessarily have to replay it immediately. 2 inks spent so far on that snake. 3 more available. Now as they ink the kit, there's 3 available now. It's going to be a pass.
Doesn't play it.
Not the most spectacular of turns against Ruby Sapphire, being stuck at 5 ink here. 5 lore, rather. As the McDuck mana.
He is at 5 ink and 5 lore, technically. Yeah. Well, Manor's an interesting card here. Like with the shark, you do want to do it, and it kind. All right, so it kind of fills this role where you play popsicle, you draw a card, you play Manor, you're like, oh, I'm out of ink. Well, I'm not up to anything suspicious. Don't mind me. Don't mind me at all. It's just like out of nowhere, shark attack. But he doesn't need to ink 2 turns in a row.
From Artabax, we saw on turn 3 that Ursula 2, which missed. We then see at 5 ink a snake and nothing else. And it's just going to be music to the ears of Zan Syed, as we're going to see a Popsicle come down. Of course, that was the Popsicle from Tamatoa. Artabax knew it was there. Sail is drawn. 5 ink still available this turn. Could ink and get a 6th.
I mean, he could sail and then double ink, but I think playing the Manor and inking the sail just feels so much better.
The mana's going to come through, as you correctly predict. That means there is still 1 more ink available. And it will be used, thank goodness, on the Tamatoa moving to the mana. I'm glad that players have started finding this line.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't ink the sail there.
What do you think the logic is of not inking it? Is it just that it's a card that you could play to cycle your deck a bit?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's just to draw more cards, and maybe he's just like, you know what, there's not going to be a world that I get to use this surprise shark fast enough. And he might just be like, fine, I'll just play shark next turn. And then post shark, it gains lore and draws cards.
Maybe even worried about the potential of Artabax holding on to some sudden chills, right? That could be a losing condition for him if Artabax has 2 sudden chills in hand and finds a way of getting this shark in the discard pile.
Yeah, a couple sudden chills would be absurd.
And you have to think that Zan is feeling like they're in a good position and giving Artabax any little sniff of an opportunity to take control of this one is something they want to avoid, as the fox bounces the snake. The fox is going to challenge the McDuck mana, and then the snake is going to bounce it back. Not bouncing on the crab there for that extra challenger value, but it does set up fox and crab to combine for the next turn. How was there 7 damage? Was there... Snake, fox.
The fox.
Snake, fox. Got ya. I missed it.
It's an interesting little 5 ink DL7 to something.
Yeah.
And if they don't banish the 3/3s, it's just golden. And a nice way to take care of some locations.
We pass back on over to Zan Syed, who draws into that Develop Your Brain. 2 lore gained for the Mukduk Manor with a crab in the living room.
Now I assume Shark comes down. You don't need it to be Rush. We know that he could take it down and he has some tricks, but now the crab can also quest. And it's like, sure, I know you can get rid of this crab and you can take down the manor, but you can't deal with all of it necessarily.
Now we do see
I
the
guess
sail
we could.
inked, and the Develop Your Brain will come through, which will gain Zan a lore for the shark. Vision and another develop, and that's just the consistency of this deck. You might not have Hiram, but you've got a ton of cards which look at the top 2. Develop Your Brain, Grammatala, How Far Ago, you play Vision of the Future, Sail replaces itself. Just start stringing very good cards together, particularly with that half shark. Every one of those cards is often gaining you a lore, not including the Tala, of course.
That's why they call it Shark Storm. It's just a Sharknado.
Do they call it
all
that?
the action spin in a world. Yeah.
I never heard that one.
I assume some Magic players did it because Storm is an ability that triggers for every card you play. You copy it, and so it's like a storm of spells.
I see.
You gain a lore for each one. Or I just made it up. I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
It is going to be that Ursula too, and this just feels like a bit of a desperate Ursula from Artabax, hoping that there's something to be found. It does give him information, but it's not going to give him that discard he might have been hoping for. Snake takes out the Mukduk Manor.
Right.
Fox comes in, meaning that there's nothing exerted for the shark.
It's just a really expensive spellbook.
Spellbook?
Yeah, he gets a quest, pay like 5 to ready it, basically. And he can't be challenged down.
Isn't Spellbook like gain 1 lore?
Yeah, because he quests for 1, he gains 1 lore, and he pays a bunch, and it's uninteractable.
Another half shark for Zan.
It's an interesting spot. Somehow Artabax looks to be in a slightly better spot than before, but at the same time, I'm like, there's just so much that Zan has going on right now.
Zan not interested in questing either. Just feeling comfortable enough that they don't have to exert anything themselves. And just wait for Artabax to start playing into the shark power. 5 ink for Artabax, 5 cards in hand.
Playing Bruno right now with 2 cards in hand is quite intriguing. It's like, what else do you do? It's like hitting Vitalisphere is not fantastic, but you're like kind of content hitting the Visions or the Shark.
It is going to be Bruno. And the big question is, will it be the Shark on the left or the Shark in the middle? It was always going to be the Shark in the middle.
It's not going to be the Crab. It's not going to be the Crab, that's for sure.
So Zan's going to lay his cards out. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What will be rolled? It's going to be the 3. It's the 1 in the middle. It's not the Shark. So Artabax does now know that there's a shark in Zan's hand. Doesn't know what the other card is, though. But it's that Vitalisphere he's been holding on to since the very start. We thought it might get inked on turn 1. It didn't. And Zan's been waiting for his moment.
He should know that that's what his hand is now, is Shark Vitalisphere. Because he has seen the Vitalisphere and should know it hasn't been inked.
Yep. That's a very good point.
Not a bad draw. Play it, sing off of your other shark. Gain some lore, get some more card advantage. Oh, it hurts my soul sometimes.
Half Shark's going to sing How Far Ago, gaining 2 lore, 1 for each shark. It's going to be the Vitalisphere, the second one, or a bell. Not the best options.
That is not good to see. I mean, I think he takes the bell, but really, like, I don't want either of them. either pick grab is fine in my mind. You probably don't need a second Vitalosphere since you have one. But I could see a humorous world where you take the Vitalosphere and then you ink the previous one just to trick your opponent into thinking you don't have it. But with double Shark already in play, I don't think you need the Vitalosphere at all, or the Bell might quest for the lore, like the 1 or 2 lore we need to win.
Can also play this Vitalosphere for 0 cost if that is necessary, which it isn't right now. But when the Tamatoa quest, you can play a item for free.
That is hilarious. I saved 1 ink. Yay.
It's peak efficiency, but Zan is going to play the Vitalosphere. Perhaps will not be questing with Tamatoa. And that is exactly the case. As we see Artabax drawing another card. It's a goat. That's the second goat now in hand. And they have a snake. It's a good hand for Artabax. But is it too little too late?
I think he learned his lesson last game when he challenged with or quested with the 3/3s, allowing Artabax to do the Peter Pan play.
Yeah.
So he's just like, well, I don't really want to quest with these other things because I get super punished if that crab buffs an Elsa or a Peter Pan.
It's Vision of the Future. And not only do you get to look at the top 5, you gain 2 lore for your troubles as well. This is the Shark's domain right now. Artabax's board questing for 5 would put them up to 11. No, sorry, 6. Puts them up to 12.
I could not stop yawning. I have no idea why. I assume my caffeine wore off, and now I'm crashing.
It's midnight over here, so I've got an excuse, but I don't think you do.
I don't. It's 6 p.m. I should be eating dinner right now. What do you take here?
Pirate's Life, maybe? How far ago? One of the two, right? Maybe just the how far.
Pirate's Life yet, but we only have 1 more left in the deck. And if we want to chain Pirate's Life once or twice, that could be a reasonable reason. But I like drawing cards. I'm greedy. I probably take Pirate's Life. I'll probably take How Far I'll Go, even if Pirate's Life could be the proper play. I just like to draw cards. But with that goat, I'm assuming Zan is a little scared of the possibility of some bounce shenanigans.
Yep, this is probably a safety first play, right?
Gain 6 lore if we wanted. Probably quest with both of our sharks as well. Pirate's Life 1 turn where we didn't get punished, so
Pirate's Life does come through. Zan is now in the lead by a significant margin. 8 ink to Artabax's 5, 11 lore to Artabax's 4. Zan with 4 characters, Artabax with 5, but those sharks are just applying so much pressure, not wanting to exert a single character here. But Zan is ready to start questing. It's going to be that quadruple quest, and that is a play we see quite often with a lot of players, just questing with everything all at once, and Zan is threatening to win the game on the next turn. That is story on board right there, mate.
Story on board, huh? The story of Friends on the Other Side, which will probably be sang by Crab, because that's what we want to bounce, and we don't want it to get banished in a challenge. But maybe we're doing that with Goat, because we do have to gain lore, and it's fine to lose the Crab when we have the 2 goats, but we need to draw something. Nope, we went back.
It's going to be Friends, sung by Crab. There's that sudden chill, which isn't doing much, but that we don't talk about Bruno could be high impact. The problem is there's no 5 cost cards to sing it with. So that would be the entirety of the turn there for Artabax. I do believe all the 5 ink is still available. They didn't play anything, right?
Yeah.
Now ready.
The issue is, like, yeah, he can answer a shark, but we still don't have everything else we need.
Okay, you're making me yawn now. It's going to be the Crab bounce back by the snake. And it looks like
trade with the big
fox.
Crab.
Yeah.
Trade with the Bell. Gain a lore. Gain your lore.
2 sharks remaining, which means that action top deck for Zan could seal the deal as the goat comes through. Any action
Only
off
a
the top
third of
wins
his
the
deck.
game.
Is it the Pirate's Life for insult to injury?
Let's see. He's not going to... Oh, he will show us. Okay, well, that's not an action, but guess what? It probably finds one. Tala just needs an action. Doesn't find one. The game is not over just yet. Artabax is still in it.
I don't know if it's possible for Artabax to win. Or to not lose.
I think this might be the same thing, mate.
Everything. Yeah, well, sure.
Mother knows best.
That's it. That's the way not to lose, actually, because now he can Bruno and Mother's knows best the sharks.
Yes.
But the Vitalosphere lets the shark come in and then bring back Pirate's Life for the next turn to guarantee a victory if we don't get a take from hand card.
It's going to be the Bruno discard. It missed the shark last time, but will we don't talk about Bruno do the business and take down the shark, or does it have eyes on the crab instead? I have no idea why he's gone 3 and 5, but a 3 was rolled, so I guess it's the shark. Why was it 3 and 5? I'm confused.
I don't know. I cannot answer that. I would say odd even, but like obviously that's not the case. It could be 1 through 3, 4 through 6 is probably what it is. But still interesting to have the 3 and 5 on the dice there.
This is the big quest. The bee prep's found, but that half shark Vitalosphere combo could come through.
I think I would just quest and be prepared. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lore in play, so bounce goat is not enough. But
Zan's wanted to do it in style with his half shark, and it looks like it's a scoop from Artabax.
Oh, because he's challenging and grabbing back the Pirate's Life, so he just knows it's not going to be there. Oh.
GG, Zan Syed is in the final. It will be Zan Syed versus Moyen. It will be NA versus EU.
Yeah, North American versus EU. Hello, hello, hello.
Can you mute your mic in video, please, Wonderland? And then.
Yep. That was.
Hello, guys.
Intense. Game 1. That was just like so crazy. Goes all the way to the end, and we're sitting there like he's holding the card close to his chest. We can't see what it is. He just throws it on the table. He's like, "This is why I didn't show you what it was, because I had the game. I wanted you to just to sit there and stew in the wondering." But congratulations, Zan, making it to the finals. Gonna defend the championship title for North American.
Yeah.
Even though I still think we kind of lost last season, but we won the single limbs, lost the team, but we took down the single.
Yeah.
How did you feel about those games?
How did I feel about those games? I felt like
Just broad and open.
I felt like I got lucky to win game 1. I think that game, I think you could watch a couple of different times or play couple of different times and take different paths where Artabax wins some and then I win some of the others. It was that close. And then game 2, I just felt like I had everything and more.
Oh yeah. It was just like he needs this, and he just top decks it right off the top. I was like, all right. Oh, that was more game 1, where it's just like, oh well, if he hits the shark and then you draw it, and it's like, well, if he hits the how far I'll go and you draw it, I'm like, all right, what you need to do, right? You play to your outs, and you get rewarded when you hit them.
Of course.
Zan, I think both of our favorite plays when we were watching this was in game 2, your Tipo putting that how far I'll go into the inkwell. In preparation for an Ursula on turn 3, and that's exactly what happened. And that really felt like where the game started to swing in your favor? Was it always going to be the how far I'll go, or was that sort of a play that didn't hit you immediately, and the more you thought about it, that just was a line that opened up to you?
Well, it it's I'm glad you asked that. It is pretty deep. The way you can think about it, it's deep is I don't necessarily want to ink the how far I'll go in that situation because I'm like thinking, oh, the Ursula should have been played on turn two, right? That would be the optimal turn to play this Ursula is on turn two. I've dodged it, and now I should keep this how far I'll go to take advantage of it because it's a better ramp spell than the sail that I was planning on playing on the next turn. Um, but I thought to myself, in on that next turn, I need to sail and brawl to stop the Flynn Rider. So if the Flynn Rider wasn't played on two, I might have kept it because I wouldn't have felt as though I needed to play the brawl, right? And so the next step is like thinking about what Artabax is thinking. Would if let's say he didn't have that play available to him, would he still play it on turn three if he drew it? And it was the turn before I would play how far I'll go. So I said to myself he would play it if he drew it. So then it just became obvious. I'm supposed to ink this how far I'll go.
Yeah, it really looked like that if you leaned on the how far I'll go, with what you would have had to have inked instead, that the Ursula would have been like a huge blow to you. And instead you took like a slightly worse quote unquote, or not as like not the best line you could take if everything was perfect, but one that kind of made sure that you didn't get punished. So I mean, I would argue that it's definitely a heads up and the proper play. And Artabax did have the Ursula too, and it seemed like you were waiting Artabax on that. Is that more because you knew he couldn't play it, and it's like, well, if you want to TPO it, I guess that's okay, or did you just kind of hope he wouldn't be playing the TPO to dodge the only song?
Yeah, I didn't want to play the Ursula there because it was kind of obvious for me that, yeah, but what means obvious? I assumed he had no song, but I kind of bricked in game two. Like I had like 4 or 5 bounces in my hand with nothing to do. So I still had to play it and thought like maybe he still has a B prep or something like uninkable or something, two uninkables or something. But it's, yeah, I guess it's like I assumed he goes for that to ink the. If he plays Sail, then the Ursula is a good play, but if he goes Tifu, then it's often very unlikely to hit something. And then, yeah, from that on, I don't want to say I bricked, but it's like I just drew nothing proactive that much in the second game, and then he could like the sail into brawl play then on turn three was then really punishing for me not doing that much. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I
ramp
think that.
ramp shark is not what you want to have to deal with. And like in game one, we were just
Mm,
like, man, this game is looking terrible. And then it's like, oh, there's the Elsa. That's what we needed. And there was a weird scenario where there was one turn where it's just like, well, he could ink this Elsa, play both 3 drops, and have Lorthel. But
yeah,
Zan has 40 plus cards that stop it.
yeah. I mean, the board states sometimes in this matchup look worse than they actually are because I can sometimes set up a really threatening board that they really need to be prep sometimes, even if they don't want to. So um yeah, but it was kind of a bit too less what I had there. Yeah, I mean game one was really close, and I think it's, yeah, I think can go in both ways. Game two
and
was
I,
really that, yeah, what was really not how I want the
and you
game
would not
to
have
go.
you wouldn't have won the game from that play necessarily either, because we were able to see Zan, with what he drew. He ended up drawing a how he could have taken a how far I'll go instead of a different card, because you would have put him in a spot where he had to stop you that turn or he loses, and he would have been able to how far I'll go into a brawl.
Yeah.
Because he could have sang the How Fargo and then hit the brawl to not lose. You might
Yeah.
have been able to still get him from that part, but it's so hard to say because there's so many outs that just like get you there in a rough spot.
Yeah, it's a very, very complicated matchup, and it's very, very hard to the point to hit the point where you can quest. Like at some point you have to quest with your stuff to it's very hard to very decision intensive matchup, I think. From both sides. He has to decide when he exerts his sharks, and I have to decide when I don't care about the recursion of shark and just quest to make him awkward plays. Like even if he like gets back a pirate's life, he can't sing it anymore and stuff. Like it's like it's very decision heavy.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
I was a little surprised when you did the full quest out, but I was like, all right, this is fine. He deals with a shark. He forces the shark to get in. Sure, a pirate life happens, but now Zan's down 2 sharks, maybe 3 sharks at that point. And then it was like, that's pretty good. Or it was 2, and then there was a third one drawn, I think. There's just so many sharks, Zan. So many sharks.
Yeah.
I think I quested in the right spot there. I don't know exactly, but I think it was right. I have to rewatch it to exactly know. But he can set up a threatening board as well very fast then, and then at some point I need to quest. And if I force him a B prep, then that's the best thing I can do, because it was nearly the case that he needed to be prepped. The brawl was really punishing then.
If you empty your hand and you don't quest, and he just quests out and B preps, gains a bunch of lore, and then puts you on nothing, it's so devastating. It is a delicate dance to know when to do that. I think there's a song about when to fold them and when not to, or something like that. But
I really like the play from Artabax that turn with like the crab Elsa kind of combo, like the crab into the Tala Elsa, and then like the big quest. Like it kind of caught us both by surprise, but I think it was like a really, really difficult play, and one that maybe didn't look so easy on the eye into the board state, but like I think it's like you say, you've got a quest at some point, right? And I think you kind of found a line where you very, very nearly closed the gap. And actually, Zan, in that game 1, you quested with that Tala for 1, gave Artabax the opportunity to challenge him with the crab. Were you regretting that at all, like a turn or 2 later? Because we saw you maybe take like a slightly safer stance with your quests in the second game.
No, I didn't regret it at all, right? I was just playing the numbers, right? That was the third Peter Pan.
Yep.
So if it was the Elsa, then it would have been able to tap anyway. So if it's Peter Pan, then that's the only card that punished me, the third one, right? And there's only 3. So I have to play the numbers in that spot. So when it happened, I was like, oh, that's unlucky. But I gotta get a clock on.
Makes sense. Last question. I'd love to ask you guys a little bit about rotation before you leave, but I just wanted to ask Artabax, obviously a great run in this tournament. Really, really impressive getting all the way to the winners bracket finals. We saw the deck changes. You stuck with Emerald Amethyst, and I just wanted to ask you about where you think Emerald Amethyst is in the current meta game, and if you would have changed your list up at all, having now the meta's a few weeks deeper.
Yeah, it's always like it's always like you register the deck and then like you test more and stuff and still and immediately maybe find out new things. I think in a especially wide open meta is Go-Go, for example, very important right now. There's a lot of Iagos and stuff running around. In this open deck list, I just wanted to play some small amount of discard to punish, not to punish, to force my opponents to play around this card a bit, not too much. And I assumed a bit like the red-blue players like DKP run a list without Brawl at all. And so I thought maybe I can catch some people with Ursula 3-drop when they cut their Brawls completely. And didn't work out that much. I think you have to run a bit more fast list than mine in an open field, but yeah, it's always hard to say. Iagos is also a card I really need to have in my list in an open field. but yeah, you can't compare this field to an
Yeah.
to a big tournament or something where you just prepare for many different decks. I mostly prepared for like red, blue, and green steel because that's what I assumed the most of the top 6 players will play now.
Makes sense.
Which was absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I can relate to prepping and having the wrong idea for this this last tournament. Well, yeah.
No, sorry, it wasn't necessarily wrong or something. It was just I would surely play some things different now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd love to.
I mean, both of you had some excellent play, and Artabax. I mean, obviously Zan's play was also very good, but Artabax really got to show his more because like Zan was just like, well, I'm winning, right? Where Artabax had to be like, well, how do I not lose? So his back's against the wall. It's gonna look more impressive in that side. But I mean, Zan did a fantastic job of just showing like why Shark is still a menace. And like it's so difficult to have to play around all these things. And I guess another question that I'll get to, remind me before this, Specie, about the Vitalosphere.
Sure.
But I just wanted to compliment both of your playing. It was just top notch, and I'm sure quite a few people watching saw some interactions that they just would not have thought about doing. That they're like, "Oh, that's insane! I should have done that. I can't believe I didn't see that." So you're doing wonders, giving some free Metafy out to people without meaning to. The Vitalosphere. So you regarded that Vitalosphere very highly, Zan.
Yeah.
Could you talk to us a bit about how impactful Vitalosphere is in the list? As you only play 2 items, right? Vitalosphere and Popsicle.
Yep. Yeah, so Vitalosphere is different against different players, right? I also have to think about play style. And green purple also deck. Green purple is one of those decks that can, bounce its stuff after questing or hitting a location. And basically my thought process is Vitalosphere creates more in like inevitable shark connections, and I'm just trying to do that. And I know Artabax is going to be thinking about that all the time. And when he knows I have a Vitalosphere, if it's face up or he's seen it in my hand, it's going to make the game a lot more difficult from his standpoint when he's like thinking about all the things he needs to play around. And so I knew that he had seen my hand, and I had played a crab, and he knew that I could quest put in the Vitalosphere, and that's just making the equation so much harder, right? And if I make the equation harder for a player as good as Artabax, then I think that I'm closer to a board, like a board stall. And if I can cause a board stall, that means that I'm more likely to win because it's a ticking time bomb, right? The more turns the game lasts, I think that the higher chance I have to win as opposed to him, because my role is, the is like it's like the control. Then I flip it into aggro.
I like that, and like those are the type of things that are way better against. The better your opponent is, the more that type of mind game works as well, because a lesser player just won't even think about the Vitalosphere, right?
Yeah, but then you punish them. That's even better then.
True. Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I would have kept the popsicle, right? I would have kept the popsicle against other players, and he just like navigated the game so beautifully that I wasn't able to take advantage of it until I won the game.
He took advantage of me with that Vitalosphere, let me tell you. Oh my goodness.
There was a time that I thought maybe I was like, he could be tricky here because you saw a second Vitalosphere, I think, on how far ago, and I was like, he could ink the bell and then show a Vitalosphere going into the ink to try to trick Artabax. But you already had like I think a crab in place. I was like, well, he's probably not gonna leave it open to that challenge anyways. But it would, like, if he had no characters in play, that would have been like a cool little mind game you could have gone for.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I have an abundance of resources, it makes it easier to do that. But in that spot, I couldn't play the mind game.
Well, I know Artabax is getting particularly late where you are. Would love to just get like a very short impression from both you, Zan and Artabax, about today's announcements, particularly with rotation, and if you think it's a good step for the game.
Shall I? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a yeah, of course it's a good step for the game. I don't think there are many reasons to not think that. And I think it's at least a necessary step at some point. If it's like already the right moment is maybe questionable, but I think at some point the rotation must come and are a good way to keep the game fresh while also they explained it really well, like keep the game fresh while also make it easier for newer players to get access to the game. So yeah, I think they explained it really well, and I'm excited for it. Yeah, I think I'm very positive about it.
Awesome. And Zan?
I want to start off by saying I'm super positive about whatever Ravensburger is deciding to do. With that being said,
Cop out answers, and cop out answers, and
I'm not sold on the rotation, mainly because you know, I come from Magic where, you know, rotations happen all the time. And I always felt like when I played other formats, people would like know me for specific formats, and I felt like I couldn't appeal to all of Magic, you know? Like, and so I feel right now this is like the most unified and amazing the Lorcana community's ever been, and I feel kind of sad that this might be like the start of that, like the divisions. And you know, I'm just hoping
splitting
that
the
I'm
player
wrong.
base up could be rough for sure. If
Yeah.
it does that, I could see the concerns there for sure.
It's an interesting point.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Do you guys, like, I think the last question in terms of rotation, do you guys think that the approach of like a whole, you know, 4 sets out, so we're going to have like a max of 8 sets in at once, like for example, like Reign of Jafar's coming out in a few weeks, 15 months after that release it's going to be rotated out already? Like, do you think that what's your like impression on that cycle of rotation? Do you think that it's going to be good? Do you think it's overly aggressive? Like, what's like your impression on that schedule and Wonderland as well? Like, I'd be interested in hearing what you've got to say on that too.
Artabax.
Take it away.
Let's go Artabax again first.
Yeah, that's really hard to say, and I'm not sure if I'm confident enough to make a really good answer for that. I think it's always like if you make it earlier, then you don't need to power creep that much, so we get less cuts like Bell and stuff probably if we do earlier the rotation stuff. But I don't know. I'm not confident enough to say when is the right spot. I trust them and trust them to make the right choices, and probably they made a lot more thoughts about that than me. So I would say I just trust them to make the right decisions, and I'm quite hopeful that they do.
Awesome. San?
I would say I wish they did up to like set 3 was rotating out, like not up to set 4. Because I felt like set 4 was when DLCs started, right? And I felt like that's probably the moment that we got the most amount of players coming into the game. So I don't want to eradicate those players' first cards. I also felt like, you know, first 3 sets was one of my favorite times in the game, and it was like a complete image to me of the game. And I feel like after set 4 the game really started to change, and the power keep became very noticeable, right? That's when Bucky came out. I mean, the Diablo came out, which influenced me to get errated. So I would have said 3 was safer. And but yeah,
But let's get rid of Sisu.
And Diablo.
yeah, yeah, yep, and Diablo.
And like I kind of agree with that. Like I was expecting like a 1 through 3, but if we look at the meta and what people don't like playing against, it does make sense to do the 4 game as a quick fix. I would much rather have that than more bans. And on that note, like that's one of the things I like about this rotation thing is if we have a longer rotation, like Magic did a 3-year rotation, I think, for a while in Standard, and I think that was like the worst Standard was for a while. Like one deck basically dominates, and people just stop playing it. And in that regard, that's another bonus of multiple formats is if one format's not very fun for you, you can play another format. And so it's good that we have enough sets to be able to do that, give us a few things to jump through. And I don't know. I like the refresher. And if we don't do rotations, we will have to ban more cards, right? Like that just is going to be something that happen. Some things are going to fall through the cracks. And people are going to be I think it's way worse for the player base to have a card they love banned from underneath them with no notice than it is to be like, hey, in a few months, this card's going to rotate, get your games done, be aware, sell it when you need to. It's going to make managing your finances in the game a little better if you only want that. And you can commit to only core and be like, I don't want to play Infinity, which I don't recommend. I recommend keeping your cards, playing Infinity. I recommend playing all the formats you can play. I mean, Zan said that he was known for only a few formats in Magic, and it's just like, well, in Lorcana, I think Zan's going to be known for every format he plays in.
Thank you.
If I have any thought there. So I don't think that should be a worry for most people.
The word rotation suggests that stuff might come back at some point. Like, can people expect set 1, for example, to get rotated back in? Or is it just a bad adjective to describe it? Because rotation
Bad adjective.
kind of sounds like something's going to come back in. So, but you would imagine then set 1 and set 2, set 3, like they're never coming back into core constructed apart from through reprints, right?
Traditionally.